Time of presentment. The rules of time of presentment of the bill are acceptance as it must be presented on a business day within business hours. It must be presented within reasonable time if no time is specified in the bill. It must be presented within that time period if it is specified in the bill. Place of presentment. If a particular place is specified in the bill, it must be presented for the acceptance at that place. If at such a place the drawee cannot be found after reasonable search on the due date for the presentment, the bill is deemed to be dishonored. If no place is mentioned in the bill, it may be presented at the usual place of business of the drawee or his residence. Presentment for acceptance not necessary. The presentment of bill for acceptance is not necessary under the cases such as when the drawee is dead or insolvent, the instrument may be presented to the legal heirs or assignee. When the drawee is a fictitious person, or when the drawee is incapable to contract, or when the drawee cannot be found after reasonable search, or when the presentment is irregular, the acceptance has been refused on some other ground. Presentment for sight. A note payable at a certain period after sight must be presented to fix the maturity. The rules are as they follow in my tutorial. The term after sight, a note means that the payment can be demanded when it is shown to the maker. It is necessary to present it for the sight in order to fix its maturity. If the maker is not found after reasonable search, the note is treated as dishonored. The presentment should be made during business hours on a business day. In case of a default in such presentation, no party is liable to the person making such default. Presentment for the payment. The note, bill, and check must be presented for payment to the maker, acceptor, or drawee of the holder. On default of such presentment, the maker or acceptor or drawee is not liable to pay. The rules are that there should be hours of presentment payable after date or sight, note payable by installment, place of presentment. I go through them in details. Yes, the presentment of the check, instrument payable on demand, agent, legal heir or assignee, delay in presentment, right of holder, and presentment for the payment not necessary. Well, I go through in the details, in fact. Hours of presentment. It must be presented for payment during the usual hours of business and if payable at a bank during the usual banking hours. Payable after date or sight. A note or bill made payable at a specified period after date or sight must be presented for the payment at maturity. Note payable by installment. A note payable by installment must be presented for payment on the third day after the date fixed for payment of each installment if any installment is not paid. It will be considered as dishonored. Place of presentment. The rules regarding the place of presentment are such as if a note, bill, check is made, drawn, or accepted at a specified place, it must be presented at the place for payment. If a bill or note is made, drawn, accepted, payable at a specified place, it must be presented for payment at the place. If the instrument does not indicate the place of payment, it must be presented at the address or ordinary residence if no address is given of the maker, drawee, or acceptor, as the case may be. If the party liable for the payment has no place of business or residence or no specified place for the presentment can be made to him in person wherever he can be found.